objective today. Josiah, can you please read us our objective?
Objective. We will use accountable talk sentence starters to have a discussion.
Great. So, this is going to be a review of what we've learned before, that we can use something called accountable talk. And we can use this to have a fantastic discussion. But first, let's remember, what is accountable talk? Uriel?
Accountable talk is a discussion that, it's a discussion where you agree or you disagree with someone.
Okay, but what is it? Just accountable talk.
An opinion.
Damien?
The scholarly way to have a discussion.
You are totally right. It's a scholarly way to have a discussion. It's sentence frames, which means like a little way to start off your sentence that you can use during a discussion. For example, I think, and then say whatever you're going to say, or not everyone will agree with me, but I think, blah, blah, blah. Why do we use accountable talk? Josiah?
We use these sentence starters to speak our mind and sound like a scholar.
That's fantastic. Couldn't have said it better myself. Kyle, do you say that?
You could say to debate when something says or
To have a debate, fantastic. And I also added here to challenge yourself, because with accountable talk that we're using today, we're going to choose our own challenge, right? If you choose one of the sentence starters that starts with a circle, that's going to challenge yourself to sound like a middle school scholar, which is good. If you use one that has a little triangle next to it, that's going to challenge yourself even more to sound like a high school scholar. If you use one that has a star next to it, that's going to challenge yourself even more so you can sound like a college scholar. Okay? So, you guys can choose which one you think is the one that you feel comfortable challenging yourself with today. And there's nothing wrong with using one of the ones that starts with a circle. That's totally fine. Sometimes that's the most appropriate way to start off what you want to say. We're going to practice and go through each one. Okay? So, first off, to speak your mind. If you have something to say, you can choose any of the ones with the circle. I think cats are better than dogs because they're softer and more dependent. Okay? In my opinion, I think that rainbow sherbet is the best ice cream flavor because it's colorful. Okay? Or maybe you want to challenge yourself to the high school level, and you could say, I was surprised to find out that the DREAM Act did not pass because it seems like such a great thing. Or challenge yourself even more. Not everyone will agree with me, but I think that school uniforms are a really great thing because school uniforms help us stay focused so we can do our best learning. So, I want to practice, okay? I'm going to put up here something. For this one, it'll be a question. And I want 3 volunteers to use their accountable talk to speak their mind, okay? And so, let's say that somebody said, what is your favorite food and why? This is a pretty simple one. I want you to use your accountable talk to speak your mind. Nevaeh, let's hear it.
not everyone will agree.
Just challenging yourself. Good.
But I like salad.
You like salad? Great. It's very healthy and nutritious. Leo.
I found it interesting that my favorite food is pizza because I like you can bake it and make it
Great. And Julio. Speaking your mind should be on the first page.
Not everybody will agree with me, but I think that chicken wings are my favorite food because they have good flavor and they're spicy.
Fantastic. I have my 3 examples. Very good.
Chicken wings.
And now, sometimes you might disagree, and that's totally fine, right? But when we disagree at accountable talk, we want to make sure we do it politely, right? So, we have a couple options here. We can start with the circle, and we could say, I respectfully disagree that chicken wings are the best because I'd rather eat a salad because it's more healthy. That's not true, but it is true that it's healthier, but I would not rather eat a salad. Or you could go a little more challenging and say, well, actually, I don't think that's right because chicken wings can cause heart attacks. And I don't want you to have a heart attack, you know? Or you could challenge yourself even more and say, actually, isn't it true that the fat in chicken wings could clog your arteries and cause something like a blood clot, which could lead to a heart attack? Learned that in our science, didn't we? So, we are going to practice again. I'm going to put a statement up here that you might disagree with, okay? And I will once again take 3 people to use their accountable talk to respectfully disagree. Does everyone see that page in the booklet?
Yeah.
Great. So, if, let's say in a discussion someone said, I think cats are better than dogs because they are more dependent. I need 3 people to respectfully disagree. Marlene?
Okay. My guess is slightly different because I believe that dogs are better.
Yes.
And I may be wrong, but dogs are actually more loyal. And that's my opinion.
Michelle?
My idea is slightly different. Dogs are more playful. And you get to play with them whenever you want.
Great. And Damien?
Have you thought about cats? Cats actually leave their hairballs and they actually scratch your face?
That can't be true. I'll take one more. Adele?
I don't like that.
My idea is slightly different because dogs, they're fun, playful. You can actually teach them to do something cats just sleep.
I disagree with you. I respectfully disagree with all of you. That's okay. All right. Next, you can compliment or agree with something that somebody says. The easiest way to agree is snaps. That way you don't have to say anything. If you agree with exactly what they say, if you think that cats leave hairballs and scratch your face, all that you have to do is just snap. If you can't snap, you can go like this, and we'll see your hand. We'll know you agree. Okay, that's how I snapped until I was about 6 years old.
I used to snap.
So, but most of us can snap, and that's great. If you agree and you want to add a little more information, you can choose. Okay, thank you. I know you all agree with me, but you can stop snapping. You can choose from one of these. You can start off with a circle. Well, I agree because one time my cat left a hairball on the couch, and then my neighbor came over and she had allergies and she had an asthma. Okay? Or maybe you can challenge yourself a little more. That makes sense because see this big scratch on my hand? It's from my cat. Okay? If you want to challenge yourself even more, you could say, I'm impressed by how you pointed out the cat scratched your face because we actually just got our cat declawed because we're so All right. So let's practice agreeing. I think that wealthy countries like the United States should give money to poorer countries. Leah.
I would definitely agree to give money to poor countries because some of the poor countries they sometimes have to like wear the same thing every day and they don't get that much food and so I think that they should give money to them so they can actually like go and
Yeah, I think that's great. Nevaeh.
I agree because homeless people need shelter and something different. And most people
Yeah, Daisy.
That's how I see it too. Because like poor countries, they need like money and stuff, like to just at least for like a shelter or shoes or clothes or something.
And coming back to Josiah.
Now I understand better that giving money to the poor countries can help them out a lot.
Great. Woo! Great. We're using your accountable talk for agreeing. So sometimes you might not understand what somebody says, and that's totally okay. And that's why we can use our accountable talk to ask for clarification. So let's say that you really just want to know why they think that. So let's say that I had said to Josiah, I would like to know why you disagree that we shouldn't give money to poor countries, and maybe he would explain. Or maybe I could say, could you give me an example of when that would be a bad idea, right? Or if you want to really challenge yourself, well, how does that compare or contrast to the DREAM Act that we've been learning about, right? So basically, asking for clarification is just asking a question because you don't understand. Okay? I have something, an example here that I came up with that probably you won't understand, and that is why we're going to practice asking for clarification. I think that George Bush was a tyrannical leader. Oh, great. Crazy. Who wants to ask for clarification? Kyle?
No, I know what, okay, can you explain, because I do not understand. Like,
Sure. I want to hear a couple more people ask for clarification before I explain. Marlene?
Okay. So, I think that George Bush.
Oh, wait, are you asking a question? You're asking for clarification? We got to practice asking for clarification. Daisy?
We're doing asking for clarification. What would happen if George Bush wasn't a tyrannical leader?
Ah, good. Uriel?
how does tyrannical relate to George Bush?
Ah, great. Does anyone know what tyrannical means?
No.
Gaia?
Like tyranny?
Yeah, so what does tyranny mean?
So tyranny means like a bad and horrible or something leader?
Yeah, somebody who has too much power, abusing their power. I think George Bush was a tyrannical leader. How does it relate to him? Because I think that he started a bunch of wars and killed a lot of innocent Americans unnecessarily. So, yes, Damien.
Why do you think that George? Well, you just said it, but
You're asking for clarification. So
why do you think George Bush is a tyrannical leader?
fantastic. All right.
I know.
Here's a new one that we haven't practiced too much. To paraphrase something that somebody says. All I mean by paraphrasing is to just kind of make sure that you're understanding what they say and say it again. For example, let's say that I just said that George Bush was a tyrannical leader. And so you would say, let me see if I got this right. You think that George Bush abused power, right? Okay? Or challenge yourself a little more. If I understand you correctly, you think that George Bush was not a very great president. Or, in other words, you believe that Al Gore should have won back in 2000 instead of George Bush. He was the Democratic candidate. And I would say, yes. Okay? So, let's practice paraphrasing what somebody says. Okay? I think, so remember, you're just making sure that you got what they said right, and you're kind of repeating what they said. I think it's important to be bilingual so that I can have more opportunities in life and help twice as many people. Who can paraphrase what, oh, we got some agreement, I agree. Who can paraphrase what this person said? The Dallas? True. Gail?
If I understand you correctly, you think that it is important to be bilingual so that you can have more opportunities in life to help as many people to get a job, to get more success in life.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Great. And Piedad?
In other words, you believe that being bilingual is important to help others?
Yes. Great. Here are the other 3 volunteers. And also, if you want to add to an idea, and I think it says in here to build on an idea.
It's right under phrasing.
It's right under paraphrasing, yep. You could use one of these. So let's say that we just talked about being bilingual and you wanted to add a little bit more. Eric, please put that away. Thank you. And you could say, well, another reason why it's important to be bilingual is because, or you could say, you know, this reminds me that my my good old teacher, Miss Wolf, got her job in this classroom because she spoke Spanish. Or you could challenge yourself a little more and say, well, wouldn't that also mean that one day I'm going to have a really easy time getting into college and getting a job because I speak more than one language? So, let's practice this one, adding to an idea. My example here is, here's a good one. Lewis and Clark never would have made it without the help of Sacagawea. She helped in many ways. Say.
Another, wouldn't that also mean that she contributed to the group?
She sure did. Yep. Damien.
Wouldn't that also mean that she mostly led the whole entire group to where they're going?
Pretty much. And let's get somebody who has not volunteered yet.
Yeah. If that's the case, then wouldn't that also mean that Sacagawea wasn't a great Native American as well? Not only Native Americans, but also women?
Yeah. I think that sounds fantastic. Damien.
That reminds me that girls can do what boys can do.
Oh. That's what I like to hear. Very good.
That's humanity.
And sometimes you might want to offer a suggestion to somebody. Okay? And these ones are kind of barely sentence frames, but maybe you might start off by saying, I just used one. Maybe you might share that thought with your friends on your sports teams so they can think the same thing. Right? What if you explained that to Mr. Mills? Well, he agrees with that. But what if you shared that thinking with Mr. Mills? He's really happy to hear. Or here's something that you might want to try. Maybe you might want to try talking to some of your cousins about that so they can agree. So, I want you to offer a suggestion here, and I think you guys will notice what I'm picking up on here. Okay? Sacagawea was an Indian woman. Oh, who can offer a suggestion with what this person just said? Who can offer a suggestion? Victor?
My child, instead of calling the Indian,
Because when I hear this, I think, like Indian from India? Indian, American Indian? Right? It's a little unclear. Anyone else want to offer a suggestion? Gaia?
Yay!
Okay.
So here's something that you might want to talk with. So whoever said that maybe want to talk with Miss Wolf.
Yep, so Miss Wolf can let you know how she feels about the subject. And Michelle?
What if you tried saying that she was a Native American because they were the first people to be in the
You are totally correct. Fantastic, you guys. All right, so I think that we're just about ready to have our discussion. Okay? So let's remember the rules. What we're going to do is if we have something that we want to share, we will raise our hand up. And when the person who is done speaking, they can choose the person that they want to speak next. Okay? We are not going to throw the teddy bear this time. Okay? So what we will do is whoever speaks will say whatever they want to say. Then, using their accountable talk, of course, and then they will call on the next person. We'll have a couple different questions that we will discuss today. If you agree, show me what you're going to do. Great. If you have something you want to say, what are you going to do? Great. And whatever you're going to say, what is it going to start off with? Daisy? Whatever you're going to say, what will it start off with? 2 words.
I think.
Accountable talk. An example of that would be, I think, right? Yes.
Are we going to use the balloon?
Nope, we're not going. We're going to just raise our hands. All right. So for our first question today, I want to discuss, and you have your paper there to help you. What are some effects that not having citizenship can have on your life? And you can give some examples that we might have seen in our video that we watched. What are some examples? Let's see, to start us off, Lapita.
One is that not having citizenship is getting deported and separating home.
Getting deported and separating from your family. Hey, Dad, you get to choose the next person.
So we could take the lead.
Whatever you want to share.
I find it interesting that the effects on not having citizenship in your life is that it can make you really upset and sometimes it like makes you separate from your family because of the people.
True. Daisy, you may choose the next person.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. We saw that in the video. Nevaeh, choose the next person. That you can't get as many jobs.
I didn't realize that not having citizenship will have a little effect on your life by not having a job and like prevent you from committing suicide. Oh. Yep. I like the way. Oh wait, hold on. That's true. I also think that it could affect your career or your education.
Yeah, we saw that happen too. People who had to pay more money for their education and could not afford it. Choose that person.
Damien?
That's how I see it too, because in the video, well, there's like a couple things that in the video, they didn't get their equal rights and they get arrested because they don't have the green card, and people get separated from their families. Like the girl got separated from her mother because she didn't have her green card and she had to get deported. Marlene, go home.
So I agree because not having a citizenship it can also affect how long you get a job. In most cases, some people are really desperate to get jobs, so they end up doing bad stuff, like selling drugs, and that's not good.
And killing herself.
Pay off back. This guy. I have something different to say for the same subject.
Okay.
Another idea or example is that when people were trying to respectfully protest, people started getting offended unnecessarily, and some group of people who didn't like the Dream Act started to debate with them and held up the sign that said "Stop the Latino Invasion." Julio? Not everyone will agree with me, but sometimes they can lose lots of money. Oh. Sorry.
I'm impressed by how all of you guys responded, and I respectfully agree with you because that's how a lot of it's gonna happen. Eventually, I feel like the Dream Act is gonna end up passing.
Well, let's move on to my next question then. It's okay, you'll still have a chance to share.
Oh,
What is the Dream Act? And Josiah, you can choose the person.
The Dream Act is when people want to be treated fairly, but they can't because it's the law that someone made a long time ago.
So what is the Dream Act going to change? What would it do? Heather, you can choose.
Michelle.
regret of making an American citizen.
Who? What kind of people?
Immigrants.
What kind of immigrants?
People.
From different countries? How old would they be, or what has to be special about them in order to make them a citizen? You can call someone if you don't know. Sorry.
Well, I agree with Michelle. And what I think is that not everyone, well, I don't realize is that why can't people that are immigrants can't like just have the citizenship, and I disagree with the people that don't let the Dream Act pass because it's your guys' fault because if they like illegally cross over, it's your guys' fault that you guys won't let them be citizens.
So the DREAM Act says that anyone who is brought here by their parents before the age of 16 and who graduates from high school and who has no criminal record, so behaves well, can become a citizen. So if you were brought here as a kid, you can become a citizen if you graduate from high school and have you are a good, positive contributor to society. Remember? So it's not, if you came here when you were 48, the DREAM Act will not make you a citizen. It's if you came here when you were a young kid. Because did those kids choose to come here? No. So, I'm going to put up my next question, which is, why do you think the DREAM Act didn't pass? Why do you think it didn't pass? Madeline?
The DREAM Act didn't pass because, like some people will like fight folks best, and only if there was more support.
Why wasn't there more support? You can use the next person.
Michelle.
I think that there wasn't because maybe they thought that they were like intruders to the state and had brought something illegal. Alejandra?
So everyone will agree with me, but the DREAM Act did not approve because there wasn't much support. Because maybe they saw on the news that the people that run the news they call the immigrants aliens, and so maybe they thought that
Other terms that weren't very polite, right?
that maybe they thought that it was like true or something. Yeah.
It hurts me that
So it needed 5 more votes. But why didn't those 5 people vote for it in Congress?
Not everybody will agree with me, but I feel like they didn't vote because I feel like since it wasn't their race and it wasn't their heritage, they may have feared them and they may have felt like they were going to overcome them, so they didn't vote.
I'm not saying that I think this is a good thing. I'm just saying I agree with what he's saying.
Leo?
No, I didn't know.
Oh.
I respectfully agree. Because I think also another way to say this is because some people might have not voted those 5 votes in Congress because maybe some people that thought that they were like, how do you say this? Like strangers to them because they didn't. Wait. I didn't pass because it was 5 votes shy, and people from America, maybe because of that little debate group that said that they wanted to stop the DREAM Act, maybe because of that they got inspired by that silly group. So
May I interrupt for a second? So it was 5 votes shy in the Senate, right? The Senate is made up of people from all 50 states, right? What race do you think that mostly everybody not every single person, but what race do you think that most people in the Senate are? race, Daisy?
Okay.
What is the race of not all immigrants, but the majority of immigrants? What race are they? 100? Well, some, but they're not Caucasian, right? They might be from Africa, they might be from Asia, they might be from Latin America, they might be from Europe, a few. We saw with one girl in the movie, right? How do you think that some people feel about people who are different from them? Sorry?
I know from experience, there's this person I kind of feared her because like she was like a different color than me and like she like acted different. And, like in my family, like my sister's like acting with my dad and stuff like that. So like I like, didn't really fear them, but like I never heard someone that was super scared of me, and I told my mom that was like pretty common.
So sometimes people can get scared of people who are different from them, okay? And how do you think that might affect? If that happens to people, that's, you know, it's natural. If I saw somebody who was 9 feet tall, they would be different from me, and I might be a little scared of them at first, right? But how do you think that effect can have? What effect can that have? Damien?
That effect can have a lot of effects because, like we saw in the movie, a boy literally killed himself because people feared him and he didn't have citizenship. And when I was going to say that why didn't the Dream Act pass, is that it didn't pass because they thought that they were trying to pass illegally, and they saw him pass illegally, and they would probably think that they're terrorists, like some people think that.
So they're afraid of people who are different.
Yeah.
Anyone who's different, some people just say, oh, they're going to hurt me in some way. How many immigrants do you guys know who are terrorists?
What's up, my mom?
He wasn't an immigrant. He was a citizen of Afghanistan.
Oh, he was a terrorist.
Oh wait, no, wait.
So my point is that a lot of people who didn't pass this, they just were afraid, right? They were afraid. And maybe they were a little, what's the R word I want to use right here?
Racist.
Racist. Thank you, Braylon. I have one more question.
Don't judge me book by its cover.
Good point. What are some solutions to this problem? Is the DREAM Act the solution? What else can we do? You can answer any of these questions when you respond. Eric, please start off with your count top.
In my opinion, I think that it is the solution if they keep trying in every single year, I think. But if they have more protesters.
So protesting could be a solution that I hear. I like that. Snaps to that. Eric, you can choose the next person.
Maybe
You can protest against immigration. Well, not everybody will agree with me, but you can protest against immigration and do something about it. Like the girl did, she protested that they took her mother. And
What kind of protest did she do? She did some.
she did
Do you remember what
online
that was called? She did an online what? Starts with a P.
online
Protest.
protesting.
I know you know it because you were talking about it yesterday.
Protest.
Nope. P-E. Piece of paper.
I know what it's called.
How do you say petition? Yes. She did an online petition, meaning she got people to sign to show their support. Right?
And then that she showed it, and then that's when everybody she got over a bunch of signatures. So that's proof that you still can keep the dream alive, and she can get her mother back and keep the dream act going.
Yeah. Beautiful answer, Damien. You choose the next person. Oh, someone else?
Okay. Michelle,
Go ahead.
I think that we can ask others to help to say that we are all people who should be treated like this and we should have equal rights.
I think the solution is they should give immigrants a chance, and they should
Give immigrants a chance of passing out something to your desk. Please just leave it there. You don't need to pick it up. We still are sharing our solutions. Yes, Josiah.
I think we can stand up for what we want or what we need, use our words kindly and like take everything that we got and use comments or whatever.
So basically, if we want this DREAM Act to pass, we're going to have to get the Senate, bunch of old white dudes, right? There's a few women in it. There's a few people of color. But just a few. We're going to have to get them to vote for it, right? How can you convince somebody in the Senate to vote for something?
I'll kill you.
Sorry, that's not appropriate.
Right?
What could you do to convince somebody in the Senate to vote for something?
Oh,
Damien?
what you can say is that, what if you were like that? What if you were an immigrant and people took your family back?
So how would you say that? What would you do?
Like, what I would do is walk up to the Senate and say, just see how the immigrants feel, and what if your family was like that, and they took your family away.
Great, so maybe you could try to meet them in person. That might not happen though. What else could you do if they didn't want to meet with you? Send a letter, I like that. You could choose someone else.
Madeline?
I have an idea when, like, it would tell them, if you guys have to get equally, why don't we just, why aren't we treated equally, and imagine how life would be if you weren't treated equally.
So maybe you could say that in a letter or an email, yeah? Choose the next person.
If that is the case, then I think that we should write a letter saying that if they were going to another country, like if they just went to another country without giving their passport or something, how would they feel if they were taken away and back to their place without?
Well, wow, Michelle, you just guessed exactly what we're going to do tomorrow.
What?
We'll be writing a letter tomorrow.
So,
We're going to pick some senator that voted against it.
yeah.
And we'll get the name. We can choose a senator who we know voted against it, and we're gonna write them a letter. We don't know if they'll ever read it, but at least we'll know we tried, right? Yeah. And maybe we'll even get a response back. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. But first, we all have an exit slip that I passed out to your desk. All that you need to do is tell me how you would respond to these two things that somebody might have said. You can agree, disagree, offer a suggestion, but the only requirement is you need to use your accountable talk. You'll get 1 point for using accountable talk sentence stem. You'll get another point for your response in complete sentences, okay? You guys will have about 3 minutes to complete that exit slip.
Wait. If you say the DREAM Act should pass, is that bad?
No, that's good.
Oh.
All right, is there anyone who would like to share their response? Braylon.
Alright, so the first one,
Yeah.
my response was, I didn't realize that it's not important to me, but it is to me, even though I'm not an immigrant, but I still support the DREAM Act, so
That's a beautiful response, Braylon. I love it. And let's take one more for the first one. Gail?
I intensely disagree with you because it's not fair for other people who are born here have an education. Also, they are using the government.
Great. And how about the second one? Michelle?
I respectfully disagree because most people came here to be a citizen, to give their children better lives, and to give themselves better.
Great. Adele?
I agree because it's not for everyone wants to have to do that, but whatever is the benefit will less than
Yeah. Sam?
I'm impressed by how you thought the same hate must be, but also I really like the idea so everyone like, cause like if you get a citizen, if you're a citizen, then I think maybe like the college can pay for your tuition fees
Or give you financial aid. Marlene?
Not everyone will agree with you, but I agree with that. Since if someone wants to become a citizen, they should. As long as they don't break the laws and they don't do illegal stuff, they should be allowed. Immigrants want to have a good life, and they want a good life so bad that some people are willing to take the bad jobs that no one wants to do, such as working on fields.
And Leo? Either one. Great. And one more, Grady. Great. All right, you guys, you did a really fantastic job. Give yourself a silent cheer. And if you could please pass up your exit slips for me, make sure your name's on it.